Do you know Stanley Wright? He was in Africa 2 summers ago helping with AIDS education.
He was working in a village in Peru last winter where
he did humanitarian work in China, and then he spent a month in
Rome?
Morocco. Stanley.
Stanley.
This is Alice Davis calling from AMS Debt Collectors for Mr. Stanley Wright. This is the 9th and last message we will...
Stanley Wright. It's Ben Anderson. I know we haven't seen each other since high school, but I'm in Austin for a few days on business. And last I heard you were...
Hello, Mr. Wright. This is Tom McKenzie. I've heard about all of the great things that you've been doing overseas, and I'd like to meet with you to talk about possibly sponsoring your foundation. There's a party at the Union Ballroom tomorrow night at 9. Hope to see you there.
The teeming slums of Bombay. To witness life here is to doubt that India could ever drag itself out of the misery of poverty and deprivation. Children play alongside open sewers. The drinking water is polluted. Rubbish piles up and festers in the heat. Diseases such as typhoid and
Stanley, you really need to meet my husband later tonight. He wants to compare China stories.
Stanley Wright, you're such an icon around here. Hey, are you planning any more?
Hey, Stanley. Tom McKenzie wants to meet you. He's been waiting over an hour.
Mr. Wright, I presume? Hi, I'm Tom McKenzie. It is a pleasure to finally meet the man who makes this community thrive.
Pleasure's all mine. Please, call me Stanley.
I've heard some impressive things about you. I hope they're all true.
Of course.
I just heard you got back from India. Very impressive. I'd love to hear more about your trip.
The larger cities in India are so overcrowded. So my first idea is to...
Excuse me, Stanley. I'd like you to meet my business partner, Ben Anderson.
Ben?
Stanley Wright? I didn't know you were going to be at this party.
This is the guy I was telling you about.
Great humanitarian? No way! Stanley is the one we're going to sponsor?
That's right.
I didn't know you traveled. Back when we went to high school, you'd never been outside of Lubbock. Hell, I was surprised you moved down here.
Well, I travel quite a bit now.
That's great. So what do? You got a nice job?
Yeah, I started my own business. I made some good money.
Well, wait a minute, your own business? Well, I was under the impression that you were doing nonprofit work overseas for the past 5 years.
Tell me about India.
India?
Gentlemen, excuse me, please.
And I was saying, if it's not here by Sunday, the deal's off. Isn't that the guy that mops the floors at the firm?
Stanley the custodian?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah. Did he just leave?
Yeah.
Oh, Stanley, it's so good to see you.
It's Alice Davis calling from AMS Debt Collectors for Mr. Stanley Wright.
I've heard about all of the great things that you've been doing overseas.
Stanley Wright. Ben Anderson.
You're such an icon around here.
Wants to compare China stories.
Isn't that the guy that mops the floors at the firm?
Stanley the custodian?
Do you know Alan Knight? He's been doing work in Russia.
He just got back from Kenya.
Alan Knight. Alan Knight.
Mr. Knight, I presume?
Please, call me Alan.